Hi guys, am I live? I think I'm live. Let's see if it says I'm live. I'm live. I've been live. Hi, how you guys doing? I think I want to do a random lesson. Random lesson time. Sometimes spontaneity is a good thing, and just something tells me to do a lesson with you guys. Somebody had asked for me to do a lesson on muting and all that. And I figured, well, I said I'll do that, but let me just do a whole lesson, not just muting lesson, but let me just do a lesson. I feel like doing a lesson, so let's just do one and see if we can learn some things. So how you guys doing? Peace, love, and rock and roll. So first of all, the person asked about muting. The thing about muting for me is I don't really think about it. I just play naturally. And one of my favorite players, Jimi Hendrix, didn't seem to care about muting very much either. He would be playing a note, and then you'd hear this G come out or something, or he's up here. You know, notes would ring out. Sometimes dissonant notes. He didn't seem to care. Like sometimes it's the weird, bad off notes that actually sounded like him. You'd say, "That's Jimmie," but it sounded like it had character, it had style. It sounded good, even though it might have been a bad note. He didn't really seem to care about unwanted noise and things. He wasn't like perfect, I play perfectly type of player. He just kind of let it all hang out, and I kind of do the same. Sometimes I like having notes ringing out. It's just fun. I don't know. If it's too nice and set and even, it's no fun to me. It's just too proper, and I'm not always a proper player. And by the way, you guys, I'm gonna get a little box. I didn't pick it up today because I didn't have the money today, but I'm gonna get a little box that has drum beats in it that I can add to my music. I'm gonna add drum beats to it. It's just a little box I'm gonna buy in a few days. I think it's cool. I'm just letting you guys know. But anyway, yeah, muting is no big mystery. Mute with both hands, mute with the fingers adjacent to strings, mute with the palm of the picking hand. Do like this, like Steve Vai, you know, mute for legato when you want to just act like there's your hands like a cloth around the bottom of the neck. You know, I don't know. There's no big mystery to me. You know, if you hear too many unwanted notes, then just try to not make those sound. If you don't mind that, then let it play. You know, I don't know. I don't have a science about it. But what I would like to talk about is what I learned in some of the songs I've done lately. And I did Ice 9 again by Joe Satriani. I learned a lot from that, and I'd like to explain it to you guys. It's funny what I did learn from is funny. You might think it wasn't so much the lead stuff. You know, that's great. That's what I'm for. It was the chords, the triple stops, you know, the phrases that are chord-like in his soloing that I'd like to discuss. The context of the song is it's C-sharp Dorian. So C-sharp Dorian, and then during the solo he does a thing where he does a C-sharp minor arpeggio. It's actually a chord. Sharp minor. Then he goes, of all things, he goes to F minor, which can also be G sharp sixth if you add it. If you think of the F as the sixth note in G sharp, it's not thought of as an F minor triad. It's thought of as a G sharp major triad with a major six, or G sharp sixth chord. Then that's the common blues thing, you know, where the A sharp diminished to the B diminished to the C diminished, and that's a turnaround that's used in blues. But it's usually done like this: major, like it would be G sharp major to A sharp diminished to B diminished to C diminished. But Joe doesn't do that. He uses an F minor, which can substitute as a G sharp sixth. it sounds cool, and it emphasizes the minor triad. And I know people have joked about my favorite key being A minor, which is really funny because it's turning into my main key. Not because someone said it, and not because their joke is valid, but because that just happens to be where the keys center for me. But I'll get to that in a minute. But note how, in the case of the F minor, substitute going alongside the G sharp major, it's the relative major to the F minor, which is G sharp major that's in play. It's the relative major. See, it starts with a minor, and then you do a relative major. It doesn't start with major and then go down to minor. No one likes the flat things. People like the sharp things. So start the minors as the main keys, and then go to majors if you want to alter it. So you're sharpening things instead of flattening things. It makes more sense. Plus, if in the circle of fifths, it makes more sense to have A at the top than C. C is the third letter. Why is that at the top? But A is the first letter of the alphabet. A minor, top key, no sharps, no flats, but A at the top, and use the minor circle of fifths rather than the major. It works for me. So, but when the case of the C sharp minor, it's since the piece is in C sharp Dorian, and you can often play a major or dominant seventh chord over the blues or Dorian progression, you could have a C sharp major. And in this case, the C sharp minor is camouflaging for the C sharp major, which is the parallel major, not the relative major, the parallel major. The parallel major of C sharp minor is C sharp major. But instead of playing C sharp major, which sounds kind of vanilla, he plays a C sharp minor to go along with the C sharp key, and then he plays the F minor to function as a G sharp sixth chord, where G sharp is the fifth or dominant in C sharp, because if you go from C sharp, fifth note is G sharp, so that's the fifth, and he's playing the fifth, which is G sharp, but instead of playing G sharp major, he plays F minor, which acts as a G sharp sixth chord, and then does the turnaround with the A sharp diminished, B diminished, and C diminished. So I think that's cool. And then he does it an octave higher at the end of the solo. He's just playing solo, free form soloing, and then he goes, and that's how he ends it. That is so cool, Joe. I mean, here the F minor. I mean, the C sharp minor is kind of imposturing for the parallel major of C sharp major, but instead it's C sharp minor. And then here the F minor is imposturing for the G sharp major, but it's G sharp sixth or F minor, and then the turnaround of the B flat diminished, B diminished, C diminished. Just sounds cool. Everyone else does it so vanilla, or just playing a vanilla version would be C sharp major, or up here. Let's do it up here. Vanilla, but he does it beautiful, and that's what gave me the idea to use the minor keys as the basis of the start of the keys for the circle of fifths, rather than the major, the C at the top. I use the minors with the A at the top, so A minor, and then if you want to go A major, that's the relative. I mean that's the parallel major. If you want to, and then C is at 9 o'clock. C major is no sharps, no flats, because that's the same key as A minor, but C minor is 3 flats, because A minor is no sharps, no flats, and C is 3/5 counterclockwise. So C minor would be 3 flats. C major is no sharps, no flats. A minor is no sharps, no flats, and A major is 3 sharps. Because if you start with C major, they would have no sharps, no flats. Then A is 3 steps clockwise from C, which would mean 3 sharps. So A sharp major is 3 sharps. A minor is no flats, no sharps. C major is no flats, no sharps. C minor is 3 flats. And then that way you're working in the sector, I would think it's the which sector is it in math? I think it's the, I forget now, 1, 2, 3, 4. Anyway, it's the northwest sector of the circle of fifths rather than the northeast like you do with the C's the center. And northwest, it seems more natural. That's from in astrology, that's from Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. That's where all the action is. That's the winter months. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Sagittarius, Capricorn, Pisces. No, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, or C, G, D, A. And then it makes more sense with A starting as the first letter of the alphabet to have A at the top of the circle of fifths is 12 o'clock. Then A, then E is 1 o'clock, B is 2 o'clock, F sharp is 3 o'clock, C sharp is 4 o'clock, G sharp is 5 o'clock, D sharp or E flat is 6 o'clock, B flat is 7 o'clock, F is 8 o'clock, C is 9 o'clock, and then G is 10 o'clock, D is 11 o'clock, and A is 12 o'clock. So that's a circle of fifths. And from the A, the tritone away from A is D sharps or E flat. And the top is A. So in the guitar sense, that's the 5th fret. A is a minor on the 5th fret if you're rooting it on the 6th string. And then the D would be on the D would be A, B, C, D would be at 11 o'clock. That would be the 10th fret. E would be at 1 o'clock. That's the 12th fret. In between is D sharp / E flat, which is at 6 o'clock. The tritone away from the A, which is at the 5th fret. So works for me. In fact, I think that somebody either didn't figure this out about minor being the basis and then the majors coming from that, or it's a conspiracy and someone just wanted us to not get it and confuse us and made us think of majors first, because it works better to think of everything based on minor and then sharpening to sharp to make it major than starting with major and flattening everything to be minor. It doesn't make any sense and it doesn't work. It doesn't have any practical application. It makes you think backwards, really. Because if you start with C major, then you have to say the parallel minor is C minor, but no one's going to do that. You're just going to stick with C major, and then you're going to say that the relative minor is A minor, but you're not going to play that. You're going to play C major, and then if you go, it just confuses your head. But if you start with A minor, everything works. If you want to go to A major, that's the parallel major, and that would be top 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock minor, 12 o'clock major. And then if you want to go the relative, A minor is at the top, C major is the relative major, that's 9 o'clock, relative major. Make that minor, that's still 9 o'clock, but now it's 9 o'clock minor. Plus 5th fret on the guitar is really perfect, whereas it's starting on C is on the 8th fret doesn't mean much on guitar. C is not even the first letter of the alphabet, and the 8th fret is really an awkward, dumb place to be. It's not even a guitar key. It's hard to even think of playing in that key. If you just start with A minor, you're on the 5th fret. It's one of the main frets there is on the guitar. If you an octave higher, it's the 17th fret. I mean, that's one of the most natural keys there is. A minor, D minor, G minor, D sharp, E flat minor, A minor. A major, parallel major, C major is the relative major. Make the relative major minor. You got the C minor, back to A minor. Just think minors first, and then if you want to alter it to either the relative or parallel major, you know how to do it. And the intervals that come out work just fine. Like a minor triad, like this is A minor right here. A major, just make a C sharp. Back to A minor. If you want to make it a C6, just make a G. Take away the A, you have the relative major, which is C major. Now that actually works. It actually has functionable operation ability. Whereas if you start with C major, you never get quite out of that hook of C major, and you never know. No one's going to flat to C minor. No one's going to play A minor when you're thinking of C major. It's just too pretty. But if you start with the minor, which is the first letter of the alphabet anyway, A is the first of the 7 letters of musical alphabet. It makes more sense. A minor, D minor, E major, A minor, C major, F major, G major, C major, A minor, D minor, E major, A minor. It works for me. You guys don't want to do it? That's cool, but at least I'm telling you what I think and sharing my secret or sharing my knowledge or my idea. And if everybody says no to it, fine. But I've studied it at least enough to studied it. I've at least thought about it, and it works for me. It makes sense. It's so easy to alter a minor to a major, parallel wise, or relative wise. What you do is you go put the A down to a G, A minor. Just one note of the G goes down to an A note. Now you have an inversion of the C major, which is the relative major. Back to A minor. Play the C sharp instead of C. Now you've got the parallel major. It works. Just start. In fact, the great Alan Holdsworth didn't focus on C major. He focused on D minor. Now, granted, D isn't the Aeolian minor; it's the Dorian minor, but it's still a step in that direction. He didn't base anything on the C major scale. He used D, which is the Dorian position. He didn't call it Dorian because he doesn't like the mode names and the modal idea. But basing everything on a minor is a good. He did that. He based everything on D. In fact, when I talked to him in 1997 or 1998 at the Catalina Bar and Grill in Hollywood, I was the first person there to the gig. He was the second. He just stepped in with this good soft shell case with a guitar inside and just talked to me for 15, 20 minutes. And my theory was, I was talking about the pitch actions, the pitch class clock. In other words, 0 at the top, one numbers, it can be used in atonal and serial composition. It can be used in any kind of musical application. And my question to him, what note do I make 0? Do I make it C? And he just said, no, make it D. Start. I guess I make it A in my case, but at least it's not just a stock answer. This is not just a major thing. He was into he liked the Dorian sound, because in jazz you have a 2 chord, and the 2 chord is a Dorian chord, and it's a minor 7th. That 2 chord is a minor 7th. So I hope this lesson's been helpful. I don't know if I want to talk anymore. Anything else I have in mind? I knew when I was thinking of this, I was going to play into some haters saying my favorite key is A minor. I thought, yeah, sure. But whatever. Oh, let me talk about, do I want to talk about my equipment? Yeah, let me talk about my equipment for a second. Since I was talking about muting and that's a physical thing, so is equipment. I have my radiator. The radiator is right here. That's the radiator off. That's the radiator on. I've got my wah pedal. I've got my whammy pedal. They both start with W here. My whammy pedal. Got my wah pedal. The guitar stands in the way of it. My chord is in the way of it. There's always just something, isn't there? Of course, the faithful radiator. So I got all 3 pedals. Those are my main pedals, and then I got a foot switch. It goes between the clean sound. This is this amp distortion with the radiator. If I really want to thicken it, I use the amp distortion I just like it, just the reiterator. Again, this chord likes to just hang right out where it shouldn't be. Whammy. My reiterator. And then I'm going to have a drum machine pedal in a little bit. So anything else? I want to talk about harmonics. I'm really getting into that via Joe Satriani, his style. Find that harmonic. I think. Turn the distortion up a little bit. They're sensitive. The upper ones are tricky. You got well, first of all, you got the 12th fret one, 16th fret, 24th fret, 7th fret, 5th fret, 4th fret, 3.25, 2.66, and 2.3. Just work at it. They're fun. There, I got him. Yeah, I work on, mainly the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings, but all the other strings are good too. Famously, I think it's in I'm the One. Yeah, I like that. I think he does it in. I think he does it also in. Ain't talking about love. About the if you want, you got to bleed for it, baby. You got to bleed for it, baby. Right, it's just cool to get that. And then Randy Rhoads in his I think it's Crazy Train. But it's maybe it's I Don't Know. One of those two. He does really cool. Anyway, harmonics are so cool, and the way Joe. It's interesting how this comes into muting because if the harmonics come out better. If you really hit them good and have the other strings muted. And an interesting thing you might not know, but then again you might know more than I do. The reason why Joe Satriani only uses 22 fret guitars is because he likes the neck pickup to be right under the 24th fret, which he can't do if he has a 24 fret guitar, and that pickup under the 24th fret, which is one of the main harmonics, gives him that resonance with his harmonics. does that, he gets a better sound because his pickup is right under the 24th fret, but that means he only has 22 frets on his guitars. I prefer 24 fret guitars, but I'm just explaining why he does 22 frets. Anything else? I learned a Bach piece. Then I do it on. And then to end it, I just do a little. Notice how much easier it flips. It's easier for me on electric, which is one of the reasons I like doing it on acoustic, because it's more challenging. It makes me, you can hear every mistake. You don't get flip flop or use distortion or mask anything. It's just all right there. Plus, it sounds good to use a guitar for classical pieces. It sounds good on electric too, but why not challenge yourself and make it even more raw and human and harder for you? You learn more if it's harder. And I was told that most people finger pick, but what is there a rule I have to finger pick? Well, that's just why, so I can be like everybody else? No, do your own thing. I like to use a pick, but I like the electric, but I can do it on nylon string acoustic. I like nylon string better than steel string acoustic because steel string acoustics are too loud. They sound too much like electric guitars, and I just want to play electric. Whereas the nylon string makes me feel like it's a cool instrument in and of itself, and it makes me want to play it more. And I like picks. I'm never going to be the finger picker of the year. It's not going to do it. But picks I like better. So anyway, that's a cool piece by Bach. I'm going to start throwing in classical stuff. I think I was supposed to learn Toccata and Fugue in D minor by Bach. That's what the moderator suggested or challenged me. But I don't have it. I don't have it on tape. And the best I could do was the one I did, and it's in E minor. It's all I had, and I didn't have Toccata and Fugue in D minor, so I picked the next best thing, which is actually an E minor, which actually is better because E minor is natural guitar key. And I like it. It's a cool little piece. But the moderator wanted me to do it only tapping. So should I try to do my piece with only tapping? LOL. I just now thought of that. Moderator, would you be satisfied if I did that with this piece? Let's see if I can. I'm not even sure I can do it. that was horrible, except the fact that I've never tried it or done it before. I gotta get that right. Wait. Do it again. This is on rock and roll.